Good morning, Desiree. Good morning to the listeners.
All the legislative changes that were introduced last year, some to bring about efficiencies and enhance accountability, and others to root out corruption. One of the biggest sources of frustration at this time is there being no legislation to, just in terms of coalitions in municipalities. And this is seemingly one of the biggest problem at the moment. What are we expecting in this regard in tonight's SONA?
Well, I think, the reality is that we've gone through various legislations within, whether it's at national, provincial, as well as local government. If you remember the floor crossing legislation that took place that had to be repealed and pulled back and so on. The reality of co-governance, and we must know that the local government space is about cooperative governance, and cooperative governance means that there are more than one stakeholders that is supposed to be playing a role within the governance. Coalitions, of course, are a new way of governing because of pulling together the various seats with regards to the majority. So the frustration as well is that, of course, when coalitions are changing often, it may and it does slow down the pace of decision making. It does slow down the pace of ensuring that the service delivery imperatives are taken into the front seat. One key example is we're now going into the budget adjustment for municipalities now, and we need the right votes to be able to pass on the budget so that the municipalities can start operating within fresh new budgets, votes that have been loaded, so that service delivery continues. So this is something that we remain watching, and vigilantly so.
What will the President draw from the Auditor General's reports that indicate some level of improvement in the administration of municipalities, but that the inefficiencies continue unabated?
Well, I think the big thing around local government, if we go back to the medium-term budget policy speech, we saw that there are some additional funds that are going to come through. Of course, it's not for the President to go into the details within the SONA, safe to acknowledge that the institutional arrangements within the local government require a significant overhaul. This is a message that perhaps should be coming from the SONA, looking at the institutional arrangement, because in a municipality, we are solving for two key things: the institutional stability, which is from a governance point of view, from a leadership point of view, from a strategy point of view, which is your the annual strategies or the IDP, as well as the SDPIP, which is the annual plan. You also are solving for service delivery, but key to that, you're solving for financial problems, which is revenue. So if those two matters, institutional matters as well as financial matters, are solved within municipalities, you have a better chance of having a local government that can function properly. The President has also spoken previously around the issue of skills. Perhaps one of the things that should be imposed is around making sure that people who are within local government, in whatever capacity, starting with the political, are qualified to be in those positions. If they are leading portfolios of infrastructure, they should have a background in infrastructure, finance, likewise, transport, likewise, and all the other portfolios within the municipalities. That is what we think should at least be pronounced from the President's speech when he speaks this evening.
Mr. Holeni, I'll speak to you in a moment about those skills you're talking about, but I just want to bring in some of the comments from our viewers. We asked them this morning if they're going to be watching the SONA and what their expectations are. Let's just take a look at some of the tweets that have come through. Rajan Naidu saying there's going to be a lot said about past achievements and some promises for the future, but nothing will be accomplished with the current cabinet. A total overhaul is needed to make any progress. That's a tweet from Rajan Naidu then. Malefetsane Limao saying, good morning, Team Agenda. I'll be watching anyway, and I'm expecting the President to bring in, on table solutions based on electricity as to when it will be implemented. The issue of employment and how the Cabinet will ensure availability of jobs. Lastly, service delivery as soon as possible. Xolile Njoyi saying, good morning to you all people of South Africa. Yes, I'll be watching this evening. However, what is key now and needed is actions, no more talks. I want to see innovative and smart thinking. Cabinet ministers, if you lack that, please leave that seat now. From Xolile Njoyi in Gugulethu. And the musician saying, key for SONA's speech, words to look out for tomorrow. Of course, they're being facetious. We're engaging with a number of stakeholders. We have said that we must find ways. We're committed to finding solutions. We've embarked on a number of initiatives. Then you know there's no plan. That's a musician for you. Lungile Ningostole saying, Minjani Bahashi. Good morning to you, Lungile. I will watch since the load shedding schedule is favorable for me. My expectation is based on the following issues: unemployment, high level of crime, basic service delivery and state capture report. We need implementation and more oversight. And let's bring in Mr. Holeni once again into the conversation. That issue
Absolutely.
About skills coming up again. What will the president say about professionalizing municipalities? And yourself as a person who works on the coalface, is there any appreciation in the local space of why this is important?
Yeah, firstly, I think the lack of appreciation is definitely has become significant over the past 2 terms or 3 terms within local government. So we have seen that there have been changes with regards to how councillors are even admitted to becoming, eventually becoming part of council. So there are various ways that perhaps should be looked at. And this perhaps should even go back to where the IEC is involved, because if you are running a popularity contest with regards to getting councillors, you risk not having the right people who are skilled to get onto the jobs, whereas it must be about the CVs that should be published in all the street corners, making sure that the people who are going to be representatives come with particular persuasions or particular qualifications and particular understanding of how government can function. So this is a big issue around where the cooperative governance model tends to falter, because on the one hand you find a highly skilled area within the national and the provincial. The AG is highly skilled and has all the skills, and all the other stakeholders within the value chain or the accountability value chain, you find that there are pockets of lack of skills. But the big thing here is capability, Desiree. Capability is about leadership, it's about strategy, and it's about ensuring that service delivery is undertaken properly. So the capability of all the people who are within the local government space is what we are talking about before we can even talk about the capacity. Can all the officials lead in the areas that they're supposed to lead? Can the political heads lead in the areas that they're supposed to lead? Is there a coherent strategy that is being followed, or a plan, as we have read in one of the other posts that you read, that if there's no plan, there's lots of talking, but if there's a plan, there are measurements that are clear, they are concrete, and can be at least critiqued with regards to how far things have gone. And lastly, the service delivery aspect is about having the engineering capabilities, it's around having the financial capabilities, it's also around having the stakeholder management capabilities to be able to deal with all the matters that would come through within a municipality. So that is the issue that perhaps should be put on top of the agenda: capability, the lack of capability within the municipality to be able to carry out even the mandates that have been put in legislation currently.
And finally, I just want to ask you, Mr. Holeni, South Africans, very anxious at the moment and wanting concrete answers. When they ask the president tonight, how are you going to fix things? Who will fix those things, and by when? Are we going to be getting those answers?
I'm afraid I think the president is between the rock and a hard place. And I think where he has to be able to marshal the troops is previously we've also said that what is the role of province in all of this when there's support that is required at the local level? Where is the role of the national? The one model that perhaps we have seen, which is an attempt or a new model that has been piloted, is the resuscitation of a municipality such as Mangaung, where government has at least deployed national office bearers such as your directors, your DDGs, to be able to resuscitate a municipality such as that one. Perhaps that is what we should be looking at, but in partnership as well with various stakeholders who have expertise on the ground to be able to support such efforts. So where the president should at least be pointing to is to say, I am going to pull out all the officials out of the office who have expertise, who are perhaps still working on various policy measures. Yes, we need new policy measures that must be put in place, but let's go and fold our sleeves and get down to where the action is, because as the saying goes, taking from the saying of Rome is burning, South Africa is burning, and it's burning from the ground up.
Exactly, Mr. Miyelani Holeni, thank you there for your time. I doubt if South Africans are satisfied that this government is still grappling with the most basic of issues and in the process, in the municipalities and in the process, just not progressing in terms of service delivery and other needed elements of, allowing the South African society to progress. But thank you for your time this morning. Mr. Miyelani Holeni is with Ntiyiso Consulting and specializing in the municipal services space.